let me take you on a little journey. So a long time ago, because this is a safe space, I used to smoke quite a bit of marijuana back in my day. And there's no judgments if you still do, if you relate to this. It no longer was serving me because it was like making me anxious. And I know the smoking aspect of it was not doing my body any favors because I was getting some like reports back from the doctor, because I also smoked cigarettes too, that my blood was like thickening. Okay, your girl has come a long way with her healing, a long way. Around this time, so this is probably like 2012, 2013, so like 10 or more years ago, I was getting super anxious because I was letting go of smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, and I was like, felt like the rug was being ripped out of me. Any coping strategy that I had for anxiety or anything like that was just being ripped away from me. I also worked in the public sector with at-risk youth, advocating for them, and I would see a lot in my daily job that, as humans, we don't want to see. It's uncomfy, right? Some secondary trauma there, all of that. So for a while, I kind of went raw, and I didn't utilize any type of like hemp or marijuana or anything like that. And I found myself being prescribed different like anxiety medications from practitioners because I couldn't sleep, because I couldn't X, Y, and Z. And I didn't like those either. I didn't like the way they made me feel. There was something inside of me that says like, this isn't great for my body. I just didn't like it. So if you're prescribed anything for anxiety or depression, I support you in whatever decisions you make. And if it's working for you and you feel good about it, then stay doing what you feel good about. This is just my personal journey. I didn't like the way that those medications made me feel. And I'm going to get very real and honest with you. This is vulnerable. There was even one point where my anxiety was so bad. This is like prior to like gut health and healing and all of this, that I went to a doctor and they put me on such high level medication to literally, and he didn't know what he was doing. I feel like it was very mishandled. But he put me on medication to like stop my thoughts, stop my whole thoughts. This was like a medication that wasn't really designed for anxiety or depression, but more like high level mental illness stuff. And I didn't realize that's what was happening to me until I went to a therapist and they were like appalled. I remember sitting down in my first ever therapist chair and she was like, okay, talk to me, what's going on? Like, and I let her know, in the story about the medication that I was currently on. And she was like, stopped in her tracks and she was like, excuse me, what? So the prescribing physician was not like a psychiatrist. He was just a general practitioner that was guessing, right? And she was so pissed. I remember her like trying to be professional, but she was like, I don't agree. Like, I don't understand this. Like, you have anxiety. Why would he put you on this? So long story short, I was on this high level medication. This was a really dark time in my life for maybe a year, maybe less than that. It was bad. I was falling asleep at the wheel, driving on the highway to work every morning. I was falling asleep at my desk. My hair was falling out. I gained like 40 or 50 pounds. It didn't actually stop any of my anxiety, right? It just made me tired and out of it and loopy. And I remember just feeling like the worst version of myself, that nothing could help, that it was a dead end, that I didn't know how I was going to like function in society, because if this medication didn't work and it was causing this whole host of other, clearly side effects and problematic things, like I almost got into multiple accidents, like legit passed out at the wheel on the highway. It was bad. It was bad. And I remember crying and going to my mom and being like, this has to end. This has to end. And she's like, okay, then it's going to end. And she helped. She's a nurse. She helped me titrate off of the specific medication. And I remember going back to the doctor and telling him what we had done. And he made a mockery of the whole thing because his ego was clearly involved. That's why just be careful and choose your physicians well, because if they're not okay within, then egos can really be problematic, especially in males. Sorry. And I remember my mom standing there right next to me and was like, and I was like 30, maybe, like later 20s. And I remember her standing right next to me being like, it's done. Like talking to the doctor, like she was about to like bitch slap him because he was just making a mockery of this whole thing. And anyway, so went off, started feeling like myself again. I'm like, okay, the anxiety is still present, but at least I'm functioning in society again. The weight started to come back off, my hair started to grow back, and that really started my wellness journey even back then, and I didn't realize it. So I can think about the last couple of years really digging into physical and mental wellness, but it was then that I was like, fuck you. I am going to figure out how to help myself without these prescriptions that might be causing more harm than they are good. And that's just my own personal journey. All roads lead to here, right? So I'm happy, I'm thriving, and I'm happy that I can share this story with you because I've gone through some of the darkest times in my life. And I've come squarely out the other side, and it doesn't mean that like hard times haven't come, but that was really like a very low point for me in my life. So, but it all worked out because I was quitting the things that weren't good for me. I was digging into the things that were. I was letting anxiety and different things bubble up to the surface because it has to come out. It has to come out before it gets better. And I found more holistic and medicinal ways to deal with stressful days and hard times, and I really dug into gut health and tried to figure out how I can access this connection between my gut and my brain and really quiet what was going on inside. But it doesn't mean that I don't have stressful times, and that's where this little baby comes in.